When we think of Israel, our minds often jump straight to external conflicts. But honestly, some of its deepest, most defining struggles are the ones happening inside its own borders. So today, we're going to look past the headlines and dive into the fascinating, complex, and often fractured world of Israel's own Jewish society.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures the huge revolutionary idea at the heart of modern Israel, the melting pot. The vision was incredible, right? The idea was to take Jews from every corner of the globe, from Poland, from Iraq, from Ethiopia, from America, and forge them all into one single new Israeli identity.
So here's the plan. First, we're going to dig into that original melting pot ideal. Then, we'll look at the two major fault lines that started to crack that foundation almost immediately, the Ashkenazi-Mizrahi divide and the religious-secular split. After that, we'll track how new waves of immigration made everything even more complex. Before we ask a really big question, is a totally new metaphor needed to understand Israel today?
Okay, so let's get right into it. The core idea, the founding ideology of the state, was all about assimilation. The expectation was that when you arrived, you would pretty much shed your old self, your old languages, your old customs, sometimes even your old name, to become part of this new, unified nation.
In Hebrew, this powerful idea is called mizug galuyot, literally the merging of the exiles. And it's such a potent concept. The goal wasn't just, moving to a new country. It was a complete and total reinvention. You were supposed to leave the diaspora Jew behind and become the new Israeli. But as with so many grand theories, this beautiful idea immediately slammed into a much, much messier reality.
So right out of the gate, the first major crack in that melting pot theory appeared. And you could argue it's still one of the most significant. This deep cultural and social divide between Jews coming from different parts of the world.
On one side, you had Ashkenazi Jews from Europe. They were largely the ones who founded the state, and they dominated pretty much everything: politics, culture, the economy. And on the other side, you had Mizrahi Jews from the Middle East and North Africa. They came with completely different cultural backgrounds and pretty quickly ran into discrimination. The melting pot was supposed to erase these differences, right? But in practice, it often meant one thing. Mizrahim were expected to assimilate into a culture that was defined by the Ashkenazi elite.
And just look at the scale of this divide. We are not talking about some tiny minority group here. In the early decades, the Jewish population was nearly split right down the middle. This demographic fact is absolutely crucial. It meant the cultural friction wasn't some issue on the fringes. No, it was the central defining tension of the new society, one whose political resentments, by the way, would fuel the rise of populist movements decades later. All right, so layered right on top of this ethnic divide was another conflict, and this one was just as deep. It was a battle for the very soul of the nation. Was Israel going to be a secular democracy that just happened to be home to Jews, or was it going to be a Jewish state, fundamentally guided by religious law?
Now, this isn't some simple religious versus not religious thing. It's way more of a spectrum. On one end, you've got the Hiloni, who are secular. In the middle, you have the Masorti. They're traditional but not super strict. Then you have the Dati Laumi, or national religious, who kind of blend modern life with religious law. And at the other pole, you've got the Haredim.
And the Haredi, or ultra-Orthodox communities, are such a crucial piece of this puzzle. For them, a life of religious study and observance is everything, and their desire to see Jewish law shape the public square is exactly what creates so many flashpoints with the secular majority. And believe me, this is not an abstract debate. This stuff plays out in the most practical, nitty-gritty parts of daily life. Who has to serve in the army? Can you get a bus on the Sabbath? Who gets to decide if you can get married? These are deeply personal and intensely political questions that have been at the center of Israeli debate for over 70 years. So, just as these huge divides were starting to set in, the picture got even more complicated. The story of Israel's founding generation wasn't the end of the book, it was just the first chapter. Successive waves of immigration, called Aliyahs, brought entirely new cultures and challenges into the mix. So after that big wave of Mizrahi Jews in the 50s, the 1980s and 90s saw the incredible, dramatic arrival of Ethiopian Jews. And then came the big one. The collapse of the Soviet Union unleashed a tidal wave of immigration that would completely and fundamentally change the country.
It is honestly hard to wrap your head around this number. Over 1 million people arrived in a single decade. Think about that. It swelled the country's population by more than 20%. It was nothing short of a demographic earthquake. And these newcomers didn't just bring the Russian language, they brought a deeply secular worldview that challenged the country's existing religious balance and created a powerful new political force.
And here's where things really start to shift. Unlike those earlier immigrants who felt this immense pressure to assimilate, these newer groups, especially from the former Soviet Union and Ethiopia, often resisted that. They built their own worlds with their own newspapers, their own political parties. They chose to maintain their unique identities, not melt them away.
Which, leads us right to the big question. With all of these powerful, distinct identities coexisting, Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, Russian, Ethiopian, religious, secular, did that original dream of a single, unified Israeli ever really happen?
Well, a lot of people, sociologists, and just everyday Israelis, have basically said, you know what? The melting pot is just the wrong way to think about it. The metaphor is wrong. Instead, they've started talking about a mosaic.
And the difference between the two? It's huge. A melting pot's whole goal is uniformity, where all the different ingredients just dissolve into one new thing. But a mosaic? That's about something totally different. It's about integration and pluralism. Each little tile keeps its own unique color and shape, but it's arranged with all the other different tiles to create a bigger, more complex picture. The goal isn't to erase the original cultures, it's to preserve them. But, and this is the big but, this new metaphor leaves us with a massive, monumental challenge. A mosaic is beautiful, for sure, but it's also fragile. Those lines between the tiles, the tribes of Israel, they run deep. And the essential question for Israel's future is whether those distinct pieces can really hold together to form a coherent nation, or if the cracks between them will ultimately threaten to shatter the whole thing.